Hello and welcome to another trip report. This time on the train from Basel to Amsterdam. I will show you the railway station of Basel SBB. This is more or less the gateway between Germany and big parts of France and Switzerland. Show you the train on this route. This is an ICE train and of course some views from the train. Since I already featured Amsterdam Central railway station 2 times in my videos, I will show you this railway station, but actually I did the trip the other way around, so the views from the train will be from Amsterdam to Basel. Anyway, I hope you like this video. If you do so, give me a thumbs up on YouTube, and if you like to see more train related videos, also ferry related, subscribe to my channel. For now, let's roll the intro. Before we start this video, everybody knows that trains are one of the most environmental friendly ways of transportation, except from walking, cycling or swimming. This graph shows the environmental impact if you're traveling on this route, so Amsterdam in the Netherlands to Basel in Switzerland, by train, car and plane. Of course, trains will not clean the air, but the environmental impact if you're traveling by train is a lot lower than any kind of other motorized transportation. Right at the front of Basel SBB railway station you find the tram stops and some occasional buses. Due to its location very close to France and Germany, some of these trams will just stop right before the border with France or Germany. And the French National Railway Museum is not that far away from here either. It's in Mulhouse and you'll find trains every 30 minutes between Basel and Mulhouse. This is the most important international railway station for trains that will travel up north from Switzerland, so trains towards Germany. So it's not only a railway station that's quite important on a domestic level, but also international for travelers from Germany, but also via Germany, so from Scandinavia and the Netherlands for example, traveling towards Italy. Also depends a little bit on what part of Italy of course. Apart from that, it's also quite an important railway station for trains from and to France, but just slightly less because there are more important junctions for those trains. Over here you find some paintings at the wall. I think these paintings do represent destinations by train. Actually I really like it, but I didn't went for a closer look over here. Obviously, there are lots of shops within this railway station, and if you move a little bit more to the side, so if you enter the railway station from the city center towards the right, you will find a big square with a terrace inside. Close to this point, there are some tracks that are special for local trains towards France. And as you can see here right in front of me, there are some old-fashioned custom buildings. So, custom formalities took place right at this railway station. The building with the Swiss flag is obviously for the Swiss customs, and it doesn't come as a surprise that the building with the French flag is for the French customs. I don't know how often they still use this. Since Switzerland is a part of the Schengen Treaty right now, I don't think they will use it a lot, but if you know this, just let me know in the comments. And this here are the tracks for the local trains towards France. There are not a whole lot of terminal tracks within this railway station, but there are some. Time to go back to the main course of this railway station again. I really like the mural of Lake Lucerne, as you can see right here in front of me. We also went there by train and there will be videos about that as well of course. Lockers, a small information room and the toilets can be found if you go down from the central main hall. Well, it's not that special over here. A little bit more towards the side, so if you go in towards the direction of the lockers, you also find an underground parking garage for bikes. Apart from the possibility to park your bike over here, you can also rent bikes and there's a bike repair shop. It's not that big compared to many bike parking garages you find for example in the Netherlands, but I still really like this and I think it's big enough for the usage over here. Back to the main hall again. If you move a little bit more towards the other side from where this came from, you'll find some vending machines for train tickets, although the online infrastructure for buying tickets in Switzerland is also very good. And a little bit more towards the side you will find the main booking office. Swiss booking offices are really nice. They're not just for train information and to buy train tickets, but you can also buy lots of railway related souvenirs, use them as money exchange, and well, probably a lot of other things I forgot to mention. By the way, I really like these Swiss railway clocks. Passenger service information is given very well. There are lots of screens throughout the railway station, and typical for Switzerland, as you can see over here, there are some bigger screens as well. This is in general in Swiss railway stations in the main hall. If you take these escalators up, you will get at the bridge that will link all the tracks with each other. Apart from the tracks you find totally at the front of this railway station. There are some small spots where you can wait over here, and right before you enter the platform, screens will also host information about the first upcoming departures from this track. The most shops within this railway station can obviously be found here. And if you move a little bit more towards the back of the railway station, I think there's also something like a shopping mall over there. I didn't spend that much time in here, so I didn't look this all up. There are entrances and exits on both sides of this overground passage, and you will find escalators, stairs and elevators towards direction of the platforms. Both passenger service information and directions are given very well within this railway station. At the platforms there are some waiting rooms inside as well, as you can see here on the left. And something else here on the left is our train for today. It's the ICE towards Amsterdam. There's one train per day that runs between Basel and Amsterdam. I will tell you a little bit more about this later on. Information about the route and the train composition can be found at digital displays at the platform. The numbers when the letters will refer to what carriage will stop where at the platform, and this will be combined with route information about these trains. Before I will show you the trains, I will tell you briefly something about the company that's running trains on this route. You will find trains with both the DB logo and the NS logo on these routes, and these are the trains of the railway company ICE International. ICE International is a joint venture of both the German and the Dutch state-owned railway companies. This video is about the red line. The scale of this map doesn't make any sense. The trains will go between Cologne and Frankfurt, what is a very big part of the journey, so this is why I say that the scale doesn't make any sense, on the top speed, and this is 300 km per hour. Also on the German section, so between Arnhem and Cologne, some tracks have been upgraded, so these are also high-speed tracks where these trains can go maximum 200 km per hour. And south from Frankfurt, some parts have been upgraded where these trains can go 250 km per hour. Not all the way though. These trains run approximately every 2 hours between Frankfurt and Brussels, and Frankfurt and Amsterdam in both directions, and there's one train per day that runs between Amsterdam and Basel, also in both directions. The train types that are being used for this route are the ICE Type 3M, and M stands for multiple power, so these trains were also able to run both in the Netherlands and Belgium. These trains are from the early 2000s and they're actually still quite good and modern. However, it was time for a more up-to-date upgrade, so one train set of this pool has fully been refurbished, both in and outside. According to the original plan, all trains should have been refurbished by now, but somehow there's only one train set that has been refurbished. And, well, I was doing my very best to show you this train set, since I will make trip reports on all these routes of ICE International. I want to show you all different train sets you may expect. We were having the old train set on our route, so later on I went back and, well, filmed the new train set. But again, I had some technical issues, just like why they did not refurbish more train sets like this. So the route information system was not working that well. I did one other trip report on a refurbished ICE Type 3 that was on the route from Munich to Berlin in January 2020, and back then there were also issues with the route information system. Of course, I'm not a technician, but the interior of these refurbished ICE Type 3 trains is very similar to the ICE Type 4 trains. So therefore I don't really get why there are so many issues and they even stopped the refurbishment program. I mean, if you have it on the other trains, you can get the same software within these trains, right? But maybe this is just me not knowing how this technical all works. Anyway, what you see right here is the exterior of the refurbished train set. There are supposed to be screens next to the doors that will host the basic route information, so carriage number, destination and stops along the way. Icons do host basic information about facilities and different kinds of zones within the train, for example a quiet zone. Like I mentioned, I took one of these refurbished ICEs one time earlier, and that was in January 2020. For the interior, I will combine some shots I shot back then and shots I took in December 2021. So there might be some shots where people are not wearing face masks, but this is because this was before COVID. My camera doesn't work that well with low light conditions, and especially the stabilizer, well, it's not that stable as you can see over here. The second class comes, as you just saw, in a 2x2 configuration, so 2 seats on both sides of the aisle. There are no special compartments, so you only find the big open compartment. Most seats do come in an airline style or long distance bus composition. There's a magazine rack, a tray table you can fold out, and I have to say the size, well, it's not that big to be honest. It's okay, but could have been bigger. Before the refurbishment they were bigger. All windows do have a sunscreen, and you will find coat hangers at the side. Between the seats in front of you there's a small garbage can, as you can see over here. In second class there's one power plug per 2 seats. And below the seats you will find a handle you can use to recline the seats. At the side of the seat you will find the seat numbers, and there's also a screen that should indicate from where to where a seat has been reserved. Like I mentioned, this train comes in different zones. For example, a quiet zone, a family zone, and there's also a special toddler compartment. You can find the different zones above the windows. In the family zone there's some extra space to park buggies, and throughout the train you will find lots of luggage racks. And of course you also find the overhead luggage racks throughout the train. Screens at the ceiling should host route information, but well, once again, they were not working during my trip. None of these screens or the reservation information system was working. There are no smaller compartments anymore within the refurbished trains, but you only find a special toddler compartment. They kept this, and actually this is a little bit better now. I really like this, and I really like that they kept this. Over here there's another screen that will host route information. Some other seats in second class do face each other. In that case you find a small garbage can at the side and a big table between the seats. At the total back and at the front of the train you will find the so-called lounge area. Over here you can have a look with the driver. On one end it's on the second class, and on the other end of the train it's first class. Over here there are no luggage racks, but there's some extra space for luggage behind one row. And I think the biggest improvement has been made over here, and I will show you this later on in the first class. Icons at the side of the train will indicate where you find the dining car and the toilets, for example, and for now it's time to review one of these toilets. There's one bigger toilet that's also wheelchair accessible and can be turned into a nursery space for babies. Obviously, this is why the accessible places for people traveling in a wheelchair, the family area and the toddler compartments are not that far away from each other. As you can see over here, you can turn it into a nursery space for babies, and this toilet is huge. This is how the other toilets look like. They are way smaller and they're actually pretty fine. They have not been upgraded or they're not different since these trains have been refurbished, so the toilets are literally the same as in the old situation. Next to all entrance doors there are screens that should host route information and the carriage number, but well, once again, these were not working either. On board of these trains there's a dining car, and this comes in 2 sections. One part, as you can see over here, is a kind of a takeaway part. By the way, I recorded this part during the lockdown early 2022 in the Netherlands, so this is why this part was closed. And at the other end you find, well, more the restaurant part. This is actually way nicer, and this has been improved a lot. I really like this, it's way bigger than the old situation. And I really like dining cars in general. I think traveling and having lunch, dinner or breakfast in the train is just a freaking awesome combination. By the way, near the restaurant section of the dining car there's some extra space for luggage, and you also find some lockers for your luggage. And the food selection, it's really good over here. It's more affordable than you would think at first. Time to move on to the first class. Within the first class you will find 3 compartments. At the outside of the compartments you will find information about reservations. A light switch can be found right above the entrance door. And within these compartments there's also a screen that should host route information. The middle and the window seats do have a bigger table, but the aisle seats, there's no table for those seats. The rest of the first class comes in an open compartment and is in a 2x1 configuration. So 2 seats on one side of the aisle and 1 seat on the other side of the aisle. The service level is basically the same as in the second class, but you just have some more space. And of course the seats are a bit wider. Just like in the second class, there are lots of luggage racks within these compartments as well. And of course you also find the overhead luggage racks over here. Let's do a seat tour of the first class seats. Just like in the second class, you will find sunscreens. Well, you find this actually all over the train. There's a small tray table in the seat in front of you. And because you have way more distance, it's actually too far away, but you can pull it a little bit towards you. Apart from that, there's a cup holder, and both below the tray table in the seat in front of you and above the luggage rack there's something like a magazine rack. USB charging points can be found directly in the seat in front of you, and also a small garbage can between the seats in front of you. All seats do have a footrest and all seats do have their personal power outlets. A handle to recline the seats can be found right under the seat, and even if I fully recline these seats, I still have enough leg space. And I do have to say, I'm quite tall, I'm 1,90 m tall. At the aisle seats there's a small coat hanger, and something you will find here but won't find in the second class is a personal reading light. Let it shine, baby. Seat numbers and information about reservations can be found at exactly the same spot as in the second class. Just like in the second class, at the other end of the train you also find the so-called panorama lounge, where you can have a look with the driver. And the first row over here, these tables are huge. I think this is the biggest improvement on these trains. However, because the layout of the first class is a little bit different, if you have the double seats and you're having the aisle seats, well, it's not that obvious actually. But for the second class this is really good, and also for the window seats. Free Wi-Fi is available in these trains throughout the first and the second class. It's not just Wi-Fi, but it also links your phone to an onboard infotainment system. So you can have route information, but there are also movies available, for example, and magazines. Well, I think you know how these trains look like. There's only one train set of ICE International that has been refurbished at this moment. On domestic routes within Germany you will find more of these refurbished ICE Type 3 train sets, but on the international routes from and to the Netherlands or Belgium there's only one train in the pool that is refurbished. So if you want to see how the other trains look like that have not been refurbished yet, just check out the videos in the description of this video. If you're traveling with one of these trains, you most likely end up in the non-refurbished train sets. Before I'll show you some views from the train on this route, if you're interested in other trip reports I did, below the description of this video on YouTube there's a link to a map, and on this map you find all trip reports I did. The train and ferry icons do indicate the railway station and ferry terminal reviews, and the lines do indicate the routes. Of course, you can also find the videos on my channel, and I will make more new videos, so there will be more lines added to this. If you don't want to miss anything, just make sure you subscribe to my channel, and if you really don't want to miss anything, just hit the bell icon, then you get a notification when I upload a new video. For now, I'll show you some views from the train on the route from Amsterdam to Basel. The train was being diverted on the section Utrecht-Cologne at the moment I recorded this. Normally it will travel via Arnhem and Düsseldorf, but this time it traveled via Den Bosch and Mönchengladbach. that's it for this video. We took this train, this TGV Lyria that came from Paris and went to Zurich for the last section. I did not make a video about this. I hope you liked this video. If you do so, give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more train related videos, subscribe to my channel. For the last section I will film the departure of this refurbished ICE train from Utrecht Centraal railway station in the Netherlands. Thanks for watching, see you on my next video.